Okay, today's project, I'm starting a new journal where I use these binders that I got from Temu, and they come with the corners on them. They have this is really nice and sturdy. And I've already taken a piece of craft parchment paper. It's almost like a cardstock. It's just got it at Hobby Lobby. And I tore the edges towards me to make this rough surface, and then I used O2 ink in rotting wood on this to stain it. And then this is one I already did. This is my coffee journal, and I tore and taped and glued on the craft parchment or craft paper in the background, and then I put my picture on top of it, and it's also torn. This is definitely the rotting wood. I'm thinking the other might be the autumn leaves. It's a little bit lighter. So I'm going to do the front and the back cover and the insides. And I think it adds kind of a neat little interest. Instead of just putting plain paper that you ink, is going ahead and tearing this edge. Makes it a little more handmade looking. So like I said, I've already torn, inked, and glued down this piece. And what I do is I'll use this kind of tape. It's about 3/8 inch across the inside part of the paper, about a 1/2 inch apart. That way the paper doesn't ripple. And then I glue the edge. So I've inked all the ones I'm going to use for the cover and the back. I've torn and inked them. And I did those with autumn leaves. So it's a little bit lighter and it's a little bit more opaque. And I do like the rotting wood. It gets darker, it's not quite as opaque. But when I look at this, I am thinking, of course I just did it yesterday and I already can't remember. I think this still looks like autumn leaves here. We'll see. So I'm gonna glue this one down in a minute, because otherwise it's in the way of my work surface. I wanted to show you how I tear these. Now what I did with that one is I did it this way on the sheet so I wouldn't waste so much paper. And I decided that didn't get me anywhere because it was really hard to rip it well against such a little bit of space to work with. So I'm going to go ahead and do this and let it be a little bit bigger. And I'll cut that out. And actually it still has to fit within my binder cover, so I'm going to make it just a little bit smaller than what I sketched, because I bet that gets way too big. And I do round the corners. And then this is the part I'm going to be able to make adjustments, so I'm not worried about measuring or anything. And if I have to, I can actually go back, even though I've inked this, and round these a little bit more if they stick up too far. So see, that's actually kind of big because this is the back cover. If I put it like this, is it going to fit? Height-wise, fine. Width-wise, too wide. So I'll cut just a little bit off, or you could just be mindful and tear it in a little bit further. But I like to give myself a good starting place so I don't have to remember to tear it a little bit more on what side was that. Okay, so that's still a little big. But see how it comes in here at the corners? That's important because you'll wind up having the corners be a little too close. They just don't look as symmetrical as the rest of it. Okay, so That looks better. Now I've got that little bit. It's like not quite a 1/4 of an inch. And then what I start to do, see, like that, there's plenty there. The other one I did, I really ran out of space. There's plenty to work with, but if you tear this towards you, it will make kind of a beveled edge there, and the ink really sinks into that nicely because it's like a porous part of the paper. And you know, you can make some divots. Don't try real hard. Don't try to make it real straight. Let it meander. It's going to look a lot better. And you can see, like I said, I gave myself plenty of room because I can get a hold of a good bunch. The other one, when I did it, I didn't leave enough space, and I was just holding on to the very tiny edge of it, and it was really hard on my hands, and it was hard to get a good tear that looked neat. Now see, that one just kind of tore funny because I was going in too shallow again. So again, I'm probably tearing off about a 1/4 of an inch. Let's hope I didn't do too much. Let's do a check here. I'll do it with the back side so there's a lot of contrast. See, that's going to look pretty good. A little close there, not bad. I think it's just going just about right. Wait, let's see this again. Yeah, that's good. It's a little close on the corner, and I can tear that corner off and make it work out better. These corners are already in, they look good. But you can see here where the paper, there we go. See how there's a little bit of space around the whole thing. Like I said, I can just tear that off because it kind of sticks out anyway. And then I'll ink it, oops, ink it with the right ink. Hopefully that works. Yeah, I kind of have the dark ink pad on there. Hang on, we'll wait till we get back to that. So I'm going to continue to tear this. So you probably want it at least a 1/2 inch bigger than your other piece, and then you can tear a 1/4 of an inch off and not worry. And if you keep those measurements as you do these over and over, they should turn out right on. You might have to take a corner off the piece in front so it fits in nicely and doesn't jut out. But it really goes pretty quick, just tearing. Okay, it's just, you want it to be pretty random. And then lay this on here and check it out and see if it's just pleasing to you. That's still a little close there, but it's okay. That kind of goes up a little bit much, but that's okay, as long as they fit within the back here, which it does real nicely, actually. It's not too much bigger than this front piece, which I said I was a little bit worried about. Okay, so this, to me, definitely looks like it's the lighter ink, which is Autumn Leaves. So let me give a little bit of that on here and see if that's what it is. See if that matches up better. The coffee one, I did the dark because I really like the contrast. But this is a little bit lighter. The graphics aren't as intense, aren't as dark coffee stained, so this worked pretty good. And I am gonna say, unless I got more layers on there, I think this does need to be the darker one. But I did keep layering it on. These inks work great. They're O2 inks, so they have the oxidizing ability in them, where you can put them on a piece of paper, I believe, and spritz them with a little water, and it'll make like air bubbles that have popped on the ink, or soap bubbles that have popped. Looks pretty neat. So yep, see, that is actually, this is too light. This is the darker one. So to make these match, I'm going to switch back over. I'm just flipping my pad here. It's a felt pad. And I'll go back and put the darker on this. These are nice because you can also layer them, kind of make an ombre effect, which I've done when it's on a printed graphic, and it's really pretty. So I'll move this out of the way. And this lighter background, I think, makes it show up a little bit better. So I'll just be inking these. And like I said, this already has the lighter autumn leaf on it. So this makes a nice contrast being a little bit darker. So what I will do, this will get glued and taped on the back first, and I'll press it. I have fire bricks, and I put this thing. It's a metal mouse pad. I put that on there to weigh it down and put it off the edge of the table. Works great. So because I have to ink that yet, and that's kind of boring, this one's already put down. So I will put our cover on here, which is this graphic. And again, once you tear them so it kind of fits it nicely, make sure that you put this on right side up to go with this, because I started to put it on upside down last time and it just didn't fit right. See, this went out. So I flipped it before I had it stuck down too good. And there you go, that's going to go on there. So how I'm going to put that on, cover the ink up for now, is I have these little tape guns. Like I said, this is about 3/8 inch, pressed down pretty firm. And I'll put these at about 1/2 inch intervals. And when I glue the edge, they really hold down nicely. This one's starting to skip. Have to hold it very firmly or it skips. Anyway, when I put these down, glue the edge, then I don't have any rippling, and with the glue on the edge, the paper holds very well. So I really like it. And I gotta open up my glue. I always forget to cap these, and it has a wonderful thing where it dries really quickly, which is great when you're working, but not when you're forget to put the lid back on. Just the top part tends to dry up. Okay, so this is pH neutral PVA glue, and you can see the tape, glue tape. So I'm going to put a thin bead right next to the edge, about 1/8 of an inch in. And what I'll do, because I want to catch all those uneven edges, is I will pull it out with my finger. So it gets to the very edge. I don't want any of those edges to get lost later on because they get roughed up and they're not glued down enough. So normally I'll work off the edge of the table, but I'll put one of my bricks here to hold this up. So you can see what I like to do is I take my finger real quickly and pull that bead of glue clear out to the edge. You have to work pretty quick. And of course, at this point, now I don't know which side is going to be up on my binder till I get it over there. So I will be careful. Okay, there's up. Move this out of the way. Sounded gritty. The fire brick's always shedding a little bit of grit. Wipe that off. Bring this in. There's right side up. And just kind of hover, because boy, that tape will stick and you'll be stuck forever. Okay, and I want a little bit closer up there. That looks pretty good. This is what I said. I did this one a little bit smaller than I would do them at, because I like this background. It's like a matte to this picture. Sets it off, especially with the inking and the shading, makes it nice. And I'm just using my fingers to press this down, because then this will get pressed in a brick. Now normally I would put this off the side of the table, but I'm going to support this so I can show it on the camera. And I have some paper here to keep it safe. I can't go over those or it wouldn't be touching it. And I do not want to scratch this either, so I always have a few pieces of scrap paper laying around to work with, and then I'll put the fire brick on it. So this isn't distorting the binder, and this is keeping this nice and pressed down. And normally, like I said, I just hang it off the side of the table and do that. But this is my work area, so that's what I'll do and let that sit for a little bit. I like to say it's in training, so it's being trained to adhere really good and lay flat. Okay.